There's a contract in Roman law that turns a free citizen into a slave. You have to stand there and agree, out loud, to be burned, to be bound, to be beaten, and to be killed with a sword. And it comes with a signing bonus. You're 22, you're in the queue outside a gladiator school, and every man in it is here voluntarily. So are you. The man ahead of you owes money. The man behind you owes more. Nobody in this queue looks at each other, and you're grateful for that, because you don't have a speech ready either. That's the whole recruitment strategy. Rome doesn't force anyone. It just waits for the rent to come due. By some counts, nearly half the gladiators in the empire walked in like this. You always assumed they were dragged in chains. Then your landlord sold your furniture, and honestly, the chains started sounding like a technicality. Inside, a clerk explains what you're actually giving up, and it isn't the furniture. The moment you swear, the law stops seeing you as a full person. You can't testify in court. You can't ever hold office. Rome files you under one word, infamia, in the same drawer as actors and prostitutes. You ask how long that lasts, and you're honestly expecting a number. The clerk doesn't even look up. It's forever. He's heard the question before, and you get the feeling the answer has never once changed the outcome. Then you say the words in front of witnesses, like a wedding where you're marrying the worst possible outcome. Your voice does something embarrassing on the word killed. Nobody reacts. And a man called a lanista, whose whole profession is renting out bodies, counts 2,000 sesterces into your hand. About 2 years of honest wages, and the most anyone has ever paid for you. It won't stay that way. You don't know that yet. You'd pictured a dungeon. What you get is a campus. Rome runs 4 imperial gladiator schools, and the biggest one has a private tunnel straight into the arena, so the inventory never has to use the street. There's a training yard, barracks, and an infirmary most free citizens would kill to get into. You spend the first week waiting for the catch. Then it lands on you. The catch is the job. Everything else is nice because healthy stock sells. Then there's the food. Barley and beans, morning and night, so much of it that the whole city calls gladiators barley men. After training, somebody hands you a drink with ashes stirred into it for your bones, and it tastes exactly how it sounds. You assume it's nonsense. It isn't. Scientists who dug up a gladiator cemetery found bone calcium so high they wrote papers about it. So you're on a professional athlete's meal plan, built by people who genuinely care about your body. It's just that the sport is you dying. Training is a row of thick wooden posts, and you hit yours for hours a day with a practice sword twice the normal weight, until your hands won't fully open in the morning. The posts are called stakes, and nobody mentions yet that the whole career ladder is named after them. On your first morning, a wiry man watches your footwork and laughs, once, out loud. It stings more than you'd like, because he's holding a net and a fishing spear, and you're not sure the man dressed for fishing gets to laugh at anyone. Then he spends an hour fixing your feet without being asked. Everyone just calls him the net man. You notice the kitchen knives are chained to the tables and you think it's funny, so you ask the net man about it. He doesn't think it's funny. 200 years ago, 70 gladiators armed themselves out of a school kitchen, went over the wall, and it took Rome 2 years and 8 legions to put it down. The man leading them was Spartacus. In here, that's not a legend. That's the reason the cutlery is on a leash. A year in, you're still a TIRO, which just means you haven't fought yet. Then a date arrives with your name on it. The night before, the school throws a public banquet where anyone in Rome can wander in and look over tomorrow's fighters while they eat. Some men gorge like it's their last meal, because it might be. You can't swallow a thing. 2 strangers stand right in front of you, discussing your shoulders, your odds, whether you look nervous. You want to say something. You are also, technically, the menu. You keep quiet. You've heard the famous line your whole life. The fighters face the emperor and say, "Those about to die salute you." So you ask the net man when you're supposed to say it, and he laughs so hard he has to put his cup down. You never say it. In the entire written record of Rome, it shows up once from condemned men about to fight a fake sea battle, and it didn't help them either. Gladiators never said it. You'll walk out to trumpets, and nobody will make you announce your own funeral. The arena has better manners than the stories about it. In the tunnel, you're mostly scared of embarrassing yourself, which is insane. And then the gate opens and you're mostly scared of dying, which is at least the right fear. The noise hits you like weather. And what nobody warned you about is the referee. There's an official out here in a white tunic, running the fight like a magistrate, and he can pause everything. Your opponent's another first-timer. Somewhere in the second exchange, your training takes over your body like it doesn't need you, and then he's down, with one finger raised. That's the ask for mercy. You look at the referee looks at the crowd, and you stand there, chest heaving, learning the biggest fact about this job. You don't decide anything. He lives. Most men do, and this is the part everyone back home gets wrong. Somebody counted the tombstones. Out of 100 fights, about 19 end with a body. Call it 1 chance in 10 that it's yours. So it's not a death sentence. It's dice. You tell yourself that like it's good news, all the way back through the tunnel. Then you remember the other thing the tombstones say. The average man in your trade is dead at 27. You're 23. You decide to stop counting things. After that first fight, you're a veteran, and you spend your first month waiting for someone to tell you the real schedule. This is the real schedule. You fight 2, maybe 3 times a year. That's it. Everything in between is training, food, and sleep because you're expensive now, and expensive things get maintained, not spent. You'd assumed the arena was a meat grinder. It's closer to a stable. The grinding is saved for special occasions. The first time you're properly cut, you meet the infirmary, where the doctor examines your arm like it's the most interesting thing he's seen all week, which is somehow worse than the cut. He knows his business, though. The most famous physician in Roman history started out patching gladiators in a school out east. The man before him lost 60 fighters. He lost 5. He kept cuts wet with wine and wrote everything down, and the men stitching you now trained on his notes. Half of Rome can't afford a doctor. You have a department. You start noticing the older veterans' heads. Dents, ridges, scars with scars on them. Centuries from now, scientists will open a gladiator cemetery and find exactly that, skull after skull with terrible wounds that healed, because the men were patched up, rebuilt, and sent back out. That's the business model, and you know it's the business model. But one morning in the yard it hits you that you've stopped finding it sinister. They fix you because you're worth fixing. It's the most cared for you've ever felt in your life, and you'd rather not sit with that thought too long. Round 28, you get promoted. Every fighting style in the school has its own ladder, and each rung is a stake. 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. You're made 2nd stake, which comes with a better cell, and with watching men who used to correct your footwork start quietly studying yours. You'd love to be the guy who doesn't care about rankings. You'd genuinely love that. Then a 4th stake kid takes your usual spot at the posts, and you're a little shocked by how fast you make him regret it. Then the Senate of Rome sits down to discuss your price. Games have gotten so expensive that a law now fixes what each rank of gladiator can cost, carved in bronze, rank by rank, like a menu. Top tier runs 12,000 sesterces. You lie awake doing the math on that one. The bonus that bought your entire body was 2,000. So one appearance now costs 6 of you. And your cut of the difference is whatever the lanista feels like. Because what are you going to do, sue him? You legally can't. The contract thought of everything. Same year, you have the bad day. A fighter from a rival school, faster than anyone you've ever trained against, and you know it inside a minute. The crowd knows it too. You can hear them figuring it out. When your leg goes and the sand comes up at you, the sound of the whole world drops away. And you do the thing you've stood over other men doing. You raise one finger. The referee's stick comes down. The sponsor reads the stands. And the stands are generous today because you fought well and Romans pay to watch effort. You're spared. Walking out, deaf from your own heartbeat, you finally get what the net man was doing all those years ago. He wasn't teaching you to win. He was teaching you to be worth saving. 29, you come back from it, and the school makes you first stake. The very top of the ladder a man can climb with a sword in his hand. You get a private cell with an actual door, and your name starts showing up on walls around the city because Romans write their fandom in graffiti. In one town, somebody scratched that a fighter called Celidus was the one all the girls sigh for, and that's still readable 2,000 years later. Now, it's your name in the plaster, your wins chalked up in the street. You catch yourself checking the walls on the way through the city and hiding the grin when there's a new one. Every single time. The public banquet comes round again, and now the crowd packs around your end of the table. People cross the city to watch you eat porridge. Somebody asks how you rate tomorrow's opponent. You say something modest, and they repeat it to each other like it's scripture. 6 years ago, you sat at this exact table, unable to swallow. You'd rather not admit how much you love it now, so you don't say it out loud, not even to the net man. He notices anyway. He's known you since your footwork was the joke of the yard. The net man is 34 now, and in this trade, that's old. His next fight is against a younger man, and midway through it, everyone can see the ending coming except the crowd. He goes down. He raises the finger, the way he taught you, and the sponsor looks at the stands, and the stands want what they want, and the referee steps back. It's over quickly. That evening, his name is still on the wall by the gate with his count of wins. Somebody has already scratched the final number underneath. 31. After a fight the whole city talks about for days, the sponsor stands up in front of everyone and grants you the RUDIS. It's a wooden sword, the same kind you trained with on your first morning, and it means you never have to fight again. The crowd roars. You turn to find the net man's face in the fighter's gate, the way you have after every win for 9 years. Then you remember. You stand there holding a training toy that outranks everything you've ever won. And the strange part is how light it is. 9 years, and it weighs less than your dinner. You know how rare your ending is, because everyone in the trade knows about the stone in Sicily. A fighter called Flamma. His gravestone reads like a stat line. Fought 34, won 21, drew 9, spared 4. Dead at 30. People tell a prettier version, where he was offered the wooden sword 4 times and turned it down because he loved the game too much. The stone doesn't say that. The stone says spared 4 times, which just means he lost 4 arguments with a crowd and lived. You've been spared once. You know exactly what it buys you, and it isn't love. You got the sword. He got the stone. Same ladder. Turns out free ex-fighters are the most wanted men in the whole industry, and everyone knows the story about why. An emperor once wanted retired gladiators on his card so badly he paid them 100,000 sesterces each for one show. That's 50 times what your whole body cost at the gate. So the offers keep arriving, and you keep catching yourself doing the math on them, and hating that you're doing it. You're 31. The average man in your trade never saw 28. You put the letters away, mostly. Instead, you take the other promotion, the one nobody outside the trade even knows exists. The senior referee, the SUMMA RUDIS. A white tunic with a purple border, a baton, and total authority over the sand you used to bleed on. You call fouls on men holding the rank you retired from, and they take it because you've been where they're standing. Referees get famous too. One of them collected citizenships from several Greek cities, which is more citizenships than most senators ever see. The infamia never comes off though. You checked, twice. The worst part of the job is the pause. A man goes down, raises the finger, and you hold everything still and turn to the sponsor's box because it was never your call. And the famous thumbs, you get asked about them for the rest of your life. Nobody knows which way they went. The sources say a turned thumb meant death and pressed thumbs meant mercy, and the picture everyone knows was painted 17 centuries too late. What you know from the sand is simpler than all of it. A man's life hangs on the mood of a box seat, and you're the one holding the room still while it decides. Then, near the end of your run, the top of your profession gets bought by the one man who never needed the money. The Emperor Commodus decides he's a gladiator. He fights as a secutor, the armored class, against opponents who understand exactly how this has to end. The historian who watched wrote that he won every single time, and you can hear the shrug from here. Each appearance, he bills Rome 1,000,000 sesterces. You spent 9 years earning this ladder one fight at a time. He bought the whole thing in an afternoon, kept the prize money, and never once risked the finger. And nobody files him under infamia. Filing, it turns out, is for people. You're 49, and some mornings you walk past the school gate and watch the queue form. Men with debts, running the same numbers you ran. You want to stop them and recite the whole price list. $2,000 for your body at the gate. $12,000 once the Senate rates you top tier. $100,000 to drag a free man back onto the sand. $1 million a day if you're born owning the arena. The numbers only ever went up, and not one of them was ever yours. But you know exactly why every man in that queue is standing in it, and it isn't because nobody warned them. So you say nothing. You said the oath once too, out loud, like everyone else in the ledger.